So, Nick, thank you so much for talking to us. I'm really excited. And I first want to say that you're actually kind of like a enigma to me, which is kind of funny because I didn't realize that you were the same person. I was sending videos to my friends of your work, and I didn't realize that it was the same person until someone mentioned it, like, "Oh, you're a big Nic D fan." I was like, "Who's what are you talking about?" And so I'd send and be like, "Oh, I love this rapper. Like, oh, I love this
Mm,
singer. Oh, I love this comedian. I think he's a comedian. He has like this podcast." And I had like a the Sandlot moment. I was like,
it's all the
"Oh,
same.
it's the same guy."
I get a little bit of that in my comments too.
Was it, I mean, if someone looked at your career, they would say that this is just a genius because you have like over a billion streams, over 100 songs in like the past few years. Like, this is incredible. Was there a strategy in how you approached your career?
Yes and no. Like one of it was I want to be so consistent that it's impossible to ignore me. So just like whatever that meant. And then I've released 100, like I've released over 100 and I don't know, maybe almost 200 songs I've released.
Mm.
So if they were all the same genre, like I would probably get bored of making it. I'd run out of things to talk about or in a new way. So it just like happened naturally that I'm just inspired by a lot. And fortunately, the people that listen to my music, they're not bothered by me switching genres. It's been actually it's a testimony to the people that listen. But there's a viral trend on Spotify, and I've been fortunate enough to be on it a few times. But the cool part is that I've been on it for hip hop, pop, singer songwriter, country, folk, and Afrobeat. So I've been able to like be on it for like all these different genres, which is amazing. So yeah, it's been fun.
So do you like register yourself for this different genres, or is it automatically like through Spotify that they're like, yeah, this song is,
Right, you enter it in what the genre is of the song you're releasing. Yeah.
yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool. And what's funny, that was another thing that I didn't realize until someone pointed out to me, that I didn't realize that your music, it's all clean
Mm-hmm.
music. I'm one that I get so affected by what I listen to. Um, and so, there are certain times where I have to like switch songs because I just feel it affecting me. And your music is one that I would just kind of keep playing. And it wasn't until someone pointed out to me, like, oh yeah, the stuff that what he writes about is so just uplifting and wholesome and encouraging. And then I didn't even realize in the rap songs that there was no
Yeah.
cursing. My brother calls it the explicit. He said he's scared of the explicit.
No, I mean I have kids, two of my own. One is 7 and one is 3. And so yes, one reason being that uh I want anything I make to be able to be digested by people that I love. Um and then two, like I really don't cuss that much in my daily life. Like, I'll let it slip, I'm not I'm not perfect, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit harder, I think, to be intentional about making sure everything is digestible by all ages and being able to be appreciated by everyone. And it's hard, I think, at the same time, not to make it corny. Like,
Yeah.
like have it not be cheesy when you're making music that hopefully is uplifting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so uplifting. And I love how like your music, it's so original. And I love the collaborations that you do, obviously, with, Connor Price and, Forrest Frank. Um, how do you balance the originality with influences of other artists or creators?
So, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of music. I really love making it. And it's kind of like if you think about a mechanic, oftentimes a mechanic drives a beater. Like they're not working on their own car. They work on cars all day. The last thing that they want to do is work on a car. Or a construction worker. Their house is falling apart, their basement needs remodeling, like whatever it is, because they do it all day long. So for me, it's like I make music, so like I'm creating so often. There's really not a moment where I'm not, if I'm at the studio, I'm not thinking of or creating a lyric or something. So when I'm driving, I sit in silence. When I'm if I'm not making, I tend to really not put it on. But even if I do, it's not a genre that I'm really making.
So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. I've touched on how successful your music career has been, your podcast, your, singing, writing, because you also wrote a book.
Mm.
What is your personal definition of success, and has that changed over time with the more success you accumulate?
Yeah, my personal definition of success has never changed. And it, or the goal for my life, the long-term goal and what success would mean is I just wanted to be home. I wanted to be able to be available and to be present with my family while also making a living doing something that I enjoy. And I love music, but if music didn't work, that goal didn't change, right? It wasn't like I want to have this amount of streams. I want to have, I want to do this amount of touring, whatever. So my being that as like my North Star, to be home, to have a flexible life and to be present. It made my yeses and nos along the way very clear. So, do I want to tour? No, I don't. Why? Because if I tour, I'm not home and I'm not present. There's a very clear yes or no there. Do I want to be signed to a label? No, I do not. Why? Because I want a flexible life, right? If I'm with a label, I'm at the whim of where they want me to be, what interviews they want me to be doing. So I really say no to 98% of things that come across because I want to, if I'm there, it's because I wanted to be there. If I'm doing this, because I wanted to do it. And yeah, so I mean that's really it. That's my definition of success. It's never been a stream or a monetary thing. I did have goals for my music. Like the last goal I made was 2.5 years ago. Is I wanted to reach 1 million streams a day on Spotify alone. And I hit that two over 2.5 years ago. And I'm still doing that to this day, but I haven't set a new goal as to like I want to do 2 million streams a day. I want to do three because I just came to the spot where it's like the goalposts never move or the goalposts always keep moving. So
Yeah.
if I hit the goal, I move them back. I reach it, I hit it, I move them back. They never stop moving. When does it end, and why am I continuing to set these goals for this? So I just came to a place where I was just very content with what I had accomplished. And if more comes as a blessing of doing something that I enjoy, then I'll receive that blessing with a smile on my face. But I'm not actively like pursuing more. I think that desire for more will just never end. So
Yeah.
uh, just kind of cut it off.
I love that. I love that. Now I've been watching, some other interviews that you've done, and um I love the way you talk about, your faith when you touch on it. Has your faith shaped the decisions you've made in your career or in your personal life at all?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a verse, Thessalonians 4:11, that kind of encompasses my whole mission statement. And actually, I was gonna just butcher it, but let me just pull it up.
I mean, just the fact that you pulled out the specific verse, I'm so impressed. Like I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. Um, all right, I got it here, 4:11 to 12. All right, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders and so that you will not be dependent on anybody. So if I translate that into life goal, business goal, kind of like personal mission statement, make it your goal, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. I live on a 55-acre farm in Virginia, and I've never moved out of my hometown. The only time I've been to California twice just to visit a friend, never for music. So I like really keep to myself, and my circle is pretty tight. You should mind your own business, right there, same thing. Work with your hands. So that's like do it with your own too. Back in this time, it might have been more trades work, carpentry, stonework, masonry, whatever it was, but like work with your own two. Do it with your own two hands, just as we told you. So your daily life might win the respect of outsiders, so that when people look at my life, they might wonder what's different, and they might ask questions. Well, I want what he has, that calmness or that peace or that like whatever it is, so that you'll not be dependent on anybody. And the last bar is that God told me stay indie. So that's why you don't sign.
I love that, which I don't think I mentioned enough, but you're an independent artist. You don't have a label. Like, was there ever a time where you were, wanting to, or, like, okay, I want to work up to getting a label, or, where you're like, okay, now I have enough success. I think I want to transition to become a signed artist now.
I've always been a heavy advocate for staying independent. Um, I've had the calls with labels, and they never, they're just gonna ask me to keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna try to help alongside, I would assume, I would hope. But as far as me, they're just gonna keep asking me to do what I'm doing. So let's say best case scenario, I partner with a label at a 50-50 deal or something. And since I'm already doing 1 million streams a day, at that point I would have to do 2 million streams a day to just make what I'm already making. And then I would be in debt to a label who gave me an advance. And I don't know, I just like my peace. I don't want to check in with anybody. I don't want to submit songs to somebody. Like if I want to release, I want to put it out. You
Yeah.
know, I want to be able to do it frequently too. And with a label, they're not gonna let me release every week like I've been doing. They want to anyway.
Yeah. That's so cool. I never really thought about that, but I'm not in the music video business, so it's always just seemed like being a signed artist, that's the peak. And it's funny
Well,
hearing,
a lot of people felt that way. They felt like that's the goal. Like that validates me as a real artist. Now people will take me seriously, but
yeah,
it's not the case anymore because music is so accessible.
yeah. I feel like there are a lot of misconceptions of from the people on the outside when they're looking into music business and like singers and artists and everything. And I think one big misconception is that like, oh, if you become an artist, like it's so hard to be faithful to God or to like, be Christian in that world. Was there ever a time when your faith was kind of challenged on your career path or like during your journey that you had to?
No, no, and really, it's because remember before I was mentioning how my yeses and nos were so clear. So I think, and I started pursuing music as a career when I was 27. So life had already been preparing me for the success that I would have in music. So like everything that I had to figure out, I guess, I had already, not everything, but a lot of what I had to figure out, I had already figured out and decided what I want for my life. And a lot of these artists, they blow up really young. So a lot of them don't know what they want. They don't know what to say yes and no to. So they say yes to everything. And then they get stuck in a bad place, or they get stuck. For example, they say yes to making a certain type of music or a certain type of song. And then if they pop off for that, then now they're stuck chasing that for the rest of it. And they're kind of mimicking this thing when it's not even who they are. They're And I think it's oftentimes because people haven't fully decided what their life goal is or had a life guide, like the Bible to check in with.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so on the topic of like what you wanted and you talked about that your priorities is your, family, that you knew what you wanted in life. Did you always want to be a dad?
I always wanted to be a dad. My dad left around when I was one or so, and he wasn't all that present. And I knew that I wanted to, you know, I don't know, make up for it or make a conscious effort to be the opposite. So when I had kids, and something I never forgot, somebody told me this, and you really appreciate when you have kids of your own, but you don't fully understand or grasp God's love for us. Uh, that like unconditional, unfathomable kind of love. But when you look at your kids, you think there's nothing that my son or daughter could do that would make me love them less. There's nothing that could do that would make me turn my back on them. There's nothing they could do to make them not have a place to come back to. Right. So like you kind of get a glimpse of what that love is like when you have your own kids, and you really start to appreciate more the love that God has for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. What are some of the core values that you hope to pass down to your kids?
I think just being present with the people close to you. And the other stuff is just that. It's just stuff, and it really don't mean nothing. This extra. And don't get me wrong, but like if I hit a certain milestone, I'm trying to take time to celebrate those small wins and like appreciate them for what they are, or at least look back and say, dang, I worked hard for that. Um, but really at the end of the day, it don't matter, you know.
What are some things that you do like intentionally to keep your family strong and together and tight knit? Because I mean, would you say you're a farm in Virginia? That is so sweet. That's kind of one of my like dreams there.
We have a 55-acre farm in Virginia. But like certain things, like I don't have a time that I leave the house every day unless I need to take somebody somewhere. But so my mornings are slow, and I usually don't leave the house unless I know it's all good there. Like everything is good, everybody's in a good spot. I can step away for a bit, do my own thing, and then I'm 5 minutes away, so I can at any point if anybody needs me, I can pop back over there. So I might even be too accessible. Like I might be making up for it a little too much, but I think just that it's like that's number one. Like if home's not good, none of this other stuff's gonna run smooth.
I love I mean, just hearing the way you talk about this, it sounds like you've balanced kind of the career and family beautifully. And I say balance, but it's like, I mean, one is definitely more important than the other, of course. But with your career, what has been the most rewarding part so far?
I can speak to a couple things. Like my real answer is like just the flexibility it has afforded myself and my family. But like in the music business itself, the things that I'm most proud of are independently, gathering over 1.5 billion streams, independently getting
Yeah.
uh, a gold record, independently having my two albums debut top 10 on Spotify in the United States. Um, just like those, like, and so a lot of people are able to get, one moment, and often it's really hard to follow it up. So I'm proud that I've been able to follow it up with like Pineapple, Icy Pop, Serotonin, Minefield, all and Sundown, and I was able to follow it up a bunch of times, and I was proud of that. But when I hit a billion streams, it was like I'm gonna call some people. You know what I mean? Like, hey, 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 yo, we did it. you know,
Yeah,
you
was
know.
there like a celebration or like a party or I mean, I mean, at
I,
least buy some pizza or something. Like, how do you celebrate a billion streams?
got called like three people. um, but I thought about purchasing like an old truck. I was eyeballing this old 1997 Ford F250. I was eyeballing it, and I was like, I'm gonna justify it. I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna, because of a billion stream. That's my billion stream truck. But then I didn't buy it. So
Well, I think you deserve it. Maybe, I don't know. Is there like a next goalpost where you're like, okay, this will be my
yeah, what is
two
the next?
billion stream truck or
I don't know what my next. I really haven't said any. Oh, I mean, like this year, I wrote some children's books. I've written over 10, like board books, like for younger kids. So I've written over 10 of those. One of them is a series, 10 of them is a series about a rooster and him just like navigating life challenges or like personal battles and stuff. And the goal would be to maybe to release three of them independently, go to case study, pitch the next seven to a big box publisher, and then at the same time say like, oh yeah, by the way, this is episode 1 through 7 of an animated series that I want to get done. And
wow. Okay, see that's the Enigma thing because I didn't even know that you wrote
yeah,
children's books. I feel like you're the type of person where you could just kind of toss, whichever creative direction and you're like, yeah, I did that.
to do that. Yeah, I could do that.
That's
Yeah,
so cool. So you mentioned you talked about the decisions, your yeses and nos were nos. Was there ever one that was, you knew which one you knew to say yes or no, but it was still difficult? Like the most difficult time where you're like, okay, I know what's right, but this is one that kind of cost me.
So like for example, I don't tour, but my friend Connor is on tour right now. So if Connor says to me, "Hey, do you want to do some of these shows?" The answer is no. But if Connor says, "Hey, dude, I really would like you at some of these shows," then I'm at the shows. You know what I mean? So it's like that's how you gotta ask me stuff, you know, like, hey, it mean a lot to me if you could pop out and then I'm there. You know, it's like saying it's no different than asking me to help you move. Like it's just like I'm there, I got you, you know. But if it's like, do you wanna intentionally make a decision to leave your home and be unavailable for your family? No, I don't. But I will be available for my friend. So
Yeah.
it's like that's my, you know, it's just how you gotta phrase the question to me. Um, so like I've had a very busy month with some traveling and it like I missed my first soccer game because of it. So like that stuff like hurts my soul a little bit, but I was there for a friend. So, you know, it
Yeah.
even I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I think it's so encouraging hearing you talk about just the way you stand up for, the boundaries that you've set of like, prioritizing your family and prioritizing, your friends and the way you do it. And then to see the success that followed it. And not saying that you didn't work hard, because with what you've done, there's no way that you can do what you did and not work hard. But seeing the success that God blessed because of how faithful you've been with what you've been given. I think that's so incredible. So just to wrap up, because I have to ask, because
Yeah.
you're in so many different creative pools. I mean, you just released an album for Amanda this month, which I love. I love Set the Table. That's one of my favorites. What do you have coming up next? Like in any arena, I need to
Yeah.
say, because you can turn around and be like, oh yeah, I'm actually painting something. It's going to be at the Getty
Right,
in LA, surprisingly.
right. Um, I have a full country album that I'm really proud of, that I really like. Technically, the first song off of it comes out this Friday, but I have to commit to putting out the full project. And if I do put out the full project, it'll come out in early May. And then Connor and I are supposed to do another collab EP in early June. So it's like if I do it, it's like 3 albums like back to back to back, which I don't know if people want to hear that much music, you know. Like I like releasing frequently, but giving people 20 songs, then 20 songs, then you know, it just we'll see. But I really like the country album, so and I wanted it to be out for the summer. So like that's something that's coming. And then also I one of my big goals is to get the first, it's already illustrated, but get the first children's book like in my hands and then sell it independently.
Oh. Can we know the name of the children's book?
The
No.
first one is called The Late Rooster. It's about a rooster who has one job, waking people up in the morning, but he oversleeps.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm excited for all of them. I'm excited for the songs. I'm excited for, I mean, I love country. So selfishly, I'm like, yes, release the full country album. Just do it now. Why
Oh,
wait?
some of my favorite stuff, to be honest, is real. I really like it.
Feet to the ground, 10 toes down. Know we about to get it right now.
If you enjoy videos that follow your values like ours and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate, because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.